In our everyday lives, cause strictly precedes effect. You drop a glass, it breaks. Time moves in one direction, and it never runs backward. This intuition relies on the assumption that the past is a locked, permanent record. Once an event occurs, we treat it as an unchangeable part of a universal database. But if this foundational rule of cause and effect can be bypassed at the subatomic level, it suggests our understanding of a fixed history is incomplete. The delayed choice quantum eraser is a repeatable physics experiment designed to test the limits of that linear timeline. The results demonstrate that a decision made in the present can influence the physical path a particle took in the past. This concept of an observer-dependent reality was the central point of contention for classical physicists like Albert Einstein. Einstein famously challenged this logic by asking if the moon continues to exist even when no one is looking at it. The question is whether the universe exists as a permanent, pre-rendered record, or if it functions more like a system that only finalizes data when an observer is present. To understand the anomaly, we have to start with the baseline, the double-slit experiment. When single, unobserved photons are fired through two slits, they travel as a wave of probability. This creates a wide, multi-band interference pattern on the back wall. However, if you place a sensor at the slits to observe which path the photon takes, the particle instantly drops its waveform. It acts like a solid bullet, hitting the wall in two distinct clusters. This indicates that the act of observation alone is what forces a wave of infinite possibilities to collapse into one fixed physical state. Scientists then tested if they could trick the system by delaying that observation. In this setup, the photon passes through the slits unobserved, but a sensor is programmed to track its path a fraction of a second after it crosses the threshold. Even with the delay, the particle still acts like a solid bullet. It hits the wall in a cluster pattern, as if it already knew it was destined to be measured. The physical state remains fixed as long as the path information is expected to enter the historical record. This leads to the final variable. What happens if we delete that tracking data entirely? The eraser uses a mirror system to intercept the sensor data and scramble it before any human can read it, effectively deleting the witch path information from the universe. The timeline is key. The photon physically impacts the back wall first. Only after that event is recorded does the system delete the path data in the present. When the data is erased in the present, the historical record on the wall retroactively changes. The particles that hit the wall as solid points shift into a wave interference pattern. The present decision to erase information traveled backward in time to rewrite the physical behavior of the particle after the event had already concluded. This data supports a model where the universe operates like a real-time rendering engine, a system that only generates concrete details when they are requested by an observer. This would mean the universe conserves its resources by leaving unobserved particles as blurred probabilities rather than fixed matter. The system only finalizes a particle's history when a present observer demands that specific data, forcing the code to load. In this model, the past is not a permanent foundation, but a flexible script generated on the fly to match the parameters of current observation. While these effects are measured at the subatomic scale, they raise significant questions about the nature of our macro-scale reality and the stability of our own memories. If the physical past can be rewritten based on present data, the idea that we are helpless products of a fixed, linear history becomes harder to justify. It suggests that consciousness and the act of observation are not just passive experiences, but mechanical requirements for the universe to take a definite shape. Without an observer to finalize the data, the universe and the history that led to this moment may have no defined state at all. The eraser experiment implies that we are not just players in a pre-recorded simulation. Our awareness is the lens through which the system is forced to render itself into existence.